Alright, there we are. Hello, everyone. Doodly-doo pling. Yeah, I just realized that due to all the switching around I had done without the Stream Deck in preparation, I forgot to mute desktop audio. So when I started the game again, yeah, we got the startup sound as well. So yeah, hello everyone. I hope you're having a good Sunday. I hope your week has been great. We're taking a short break from Sam & Max. We've played the first 2 out of 5 episodes so far. Apologies that I didn't get to finish it before that. But instead, we will dive right into the Myst remake. And a remake it is. There are a whole bunch of differences from even what I've seen, like walking around a little bit of the start of the level. Just to, like test whether I'm able to stream the game, whether it looks right and things like that. So what I actually did is I placed my trusty iPad right here in front of me. That's the thing you see over there. Over there. On the other side of the screen. Where I have the mobile version of Myst, which is very, very, very close to the original Myst version made in HyperCard that I reverse engineered in a stream a while ago. So, yeah, that's something we're going to do now. I'm going to try to show you and contrast Myst, the new game, against the original. So let's see what we can do there. One thing... Yeah, I can do that again later. Yep. Can I tilt this? Yeah, just a little more so I can see the bottom of the screen. That's better. Sorry, I hope that sound of the stand didn't sound too bad. Okay, yeah, first new thing is you have classic, like the original Myst just had fixed puzzle solutions, and in the new Myst they have a randomized version. If you're new to Myst, we recommend selecting classic. My guess is that they did that for the main reason that means if you get stuck, you can look in a walkthrough and the solution will be there. Whereas with the randomized mode, of course, there is, like, you have to know where you got the result from or something to be able to solve a puzzle. But since we want to contrast the games, of course, randomized will be much more contrast, so let's pick that one.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Oh, sorry. Forgot to unmute myself. So, yeah, that's how the new game starts. And now, in contrast, let's see the start of the original, for which I'll have to turn on the audio. Alright. So that bit you actually see when I start up the game. So that's still in there. This one isn't.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed. I must admit, however, such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
So the first thing you can tell as a difference is that in the new game, that spot he fell through seems to be a lot closer. Like they tried to do, like, if you don't look up, you kind of don't notice it. But otherwise, like they tried to fake it by showing the book falling, then fading to black, showing it falling again, fading to black, things like that. Also, of course, the other difference is that the book lands on the floor in the original and stays there. And now when I tap the book, you can still see that in the lower right. So the book is landed on the floor, and you pick it up from there. And here in the new game, in contrast, the book floats at about chest height. Now, if you consider that this new Unreal Engine version... Oh, and of course, while this whole intro was going, which didn't have opening credits... of course, in the original, since it's basically pre-rendered movies and a slideshow, like everything had to be pre-rendered. Of course, you couldn't look around, but here, when he fell down, you actually were able to look up and to the side and things. But so yeah, this entire new game, of course, was built for VR originally. Like, it came out a few months ago. I think it could have almost been a year by now. For Oculus, so the Facebook VR thing. And now they've released the PC version after the exclusive deal has run out. And that also lets you play it in flat, as they call it, on a PC, which is what I am doing right now. And so in VR, it's kind of awkward if something's lying on the floor to interact with it, you know? Like, you have to actually bend down and tap the floor or whatever. Doesn't work too well. So, they actually said in an interview that they've raised a lot of items to chest level simply for that, simply to let you interact with it better in VR. So we'll see a few more spots where we'll have a different look. The professional terminology for non-VR games is pancake. Yeah, pancake works too. I'll accept that. All right, so that looks very similar, and the music is similar too. What I find interesting is if you compare the books, the original book has these notches. It really feels like there's a photograph taped to the front page, whereas in the new game it's more like a window into the book. And it's actually more. If you see, if I go to the side, I actually see more. And if I go here, so it actually is just like looking through. Fascinating. Okay, and it loops apparently. It doesn't just stop, which is interesting as well. But yeah, so you can tell they've definitely done more than just done a graphical update. Or even done the whole, well, it looks the way you remember it. So, let's go in then. And this is a cute little animation with that book flipping its pages. I love that. That's such a neat detail. The sound, I like that it's more subtle in the new game. So much detail. Yeah, it's really, if you look at it, you know, just let's step back a little. Oh, I can't actually go back far enough to reproduce the full picture. Because like you see on the left, you see a bit of the hatch. I guess this is close to the angle in which you usually look at it in the original game now. But yeah, you can see there's so much detail, of course. Also, this ship, it's basically just the crow's nest and one tiny mast behind it here. In the original game. And you see here, they actually made it a full-blown pirate ship. And even gave you a walkway onto the ship, of course. There is, with the sunk ship, that's a bit unfortunate because you don't really have a good use for it. But it looks interesting. It's really, I I love it. And of course the birds that you see flying around here constantly. And here there is like one animation in the upper right of a single bird, apparently. I'm not quite sure what I like better. Because, you know, like, it's a different mood if there's just a sole, single, lonely bird flying in the distance in the fog. Also, you can finally tell, like in the original, basically, to me it just felt like, well, that's the rendering distance, you know, back in the 90s when that game came out. 95, I think, is when the original game was released. You were used to stuff ending in fog in the distance. And here you actually... Like, I'm not sure if that comes through on stream, maybe later in another spot, but like you actually see the mist rolling in the distance. So like the water line isn't just straight and disappearing, but like the fog gets thicker and thinner and things like that. Which I really find impressive. Ah, there's a button. Okay, and if you look here, this is how this hatch looks in the original game. So it's a lot simpler. You just tap in the middle and the door basically disappears to open. You have to remember, this was early CD-ROM era. They had most people had, I think by the time Myst released, double-speed CD drives were a thing, but the majority of people still owned PCs with single-speed CD drives. So basically everything they did in this game was done for, for that. There's actually a really nice documentary where they talk with Rand Miller, I think is his name. They all have the same name. There's Robin, Rand, and Ryan Miller or something. And it's like Robin and Rand are like the main guys who made the game. And I think Ryan contributed a few things, but basically Cyan is Rand Miller, who we will see. He also plays a character in game. But anyway, yeah, and they talk about like what they did to kind of they weren't really, CD burners were hideously expensive at the time. So they didn't have a CD burner to test stuff with constantly, and so they just went, okay, we put stuff close to each other so that when they get like in alphabetically close to each other, like the file names, so that if you're in one place, all the images will be nearby on the disk, which means it can like in one go load one file after the other, because it's like a record on a CD. The laser goes in circles there. The CDs weren't really built for random access. They were good for, they were built for music and albums and, classical compositions. So what you usually wanted to do was skip ahead one track or skip back one track. And skipping to a particular track in the middle of the disc actually involved the laser basically following the disc until it hit the right track. Of course, the laser knew where it was right now, so if you were just skipping 3 tracks forward, then it had to just, turn enough to follow 3 tracks. But it wasn't super efficient, and so they had to build a lot of stuff just to make the game perform well at the time. And that meant, for example, that movies couldn't be very large. And they selected a movie format that was I think intended for 320 by 240 or something like that. Or was it even smaller? I don't remember. Like when I reverse engineered, I looked at the movies and went like, oh, those are small. And so basically a lot of the things that they use movies for, like the birds here in the upper right, the bird, that's just there because like they have that one simple movie, and that's just that box in the corner. And, you know, it loops as a movie there. I don't know if you can even see that on stream. I think it's very, very pale, the bird in the small preview. But anyway, you know, so, yeah, so the door just disappears when you open it. And when you walk in, it actually does music. And you can see, like, you only have these slight transitions, of course. But, you know, it's pre-rendered. It makes sense. I realize in retrospect I should have added... Let me quickly do that. You won't see that, but I can add a button to my Stream Deck. OBS. Mixer audio. And now game capture. Okay, let's see, do I have a audio icon? That will work. Alright. And now let's see if that button actually works the way I intended it to. Okay, it mutes. Yes, that's perfect. Now I can quickly mute the old game so you don't miss the audio from the new one. Oh, and so that button is actually one thing also regarding VR that they added, you know, since in VR you actually have to reach with your hand out to something and grab it. And that's why you know, why they started putting buttons everywhere so you can actually interact with everything. And of course they put another button here so you can close the door. And you know, it actually slides open and closed, which is nice. Nice. It also feels like this cave in general, it's much... You saw, like, in the original, it's basically this fairly straight stairwell. And here it seems to be a bit longer and deeper. And these are really nice, much warmer colors down here, I think, although I guess... I mean, the other one down here is fairly dark, but also warmer colors. But this is interesting. In the original, when you come in, you have like a well, just flowing water. And now here they have this simulated 3D water drop impact, basically. Okay, now I've turned it off. Now I've turned it back on. Interesting. Huh. And one little detail in Real Myst, they added a secret button at the back here that you can use at the end of the game. And I just thought, oh, I'll check for that, and it's not here. Now, I don't remember whether I ever checked for it in the original game. So, who knows? Not in the... by in the original game, I mean in Real Myst, not in the original Myst. Real Myst was the first Myst to have a 3D engine where you could walk around freely, but it was a much simpler 3D engine still. And they didn't do many changes. It was basically just a do the same with slightly higher resolution graphics thing. Settings, dimensional imager, topographical extrusion test 40, marker switch diagram 47, water turbulent pool 67. Okay, that's the water turbulent pool. Okay, now let's look at the same spot. Sorry, I've already played the game, of course, several times before, so I might not be doing the best playthrough here. And you see already, this is a lot different. Like, they have these columns here in the corners. So it's a much fancier building. And there is this kind of steampunk plate here, whereas in this one it's basically a stone plate, but it has basically the same nodes. Typographical extrusion test 40, water turbulent pool 67. Oh, but that's the second one, interestingly, and marker switch diagram 47. So now they've ordered it by number. And it has a button as well, but it glows green. If you tap that, you get this switch, and that's also slightly different. Bah, CD-ROMs are stupid. Tape is vastly superior. Yeah. Okay, 67, let's go... Whoops, that goes up. But that's actually nice. So since 67 is the highest number, you can now go down to 47, and then to 40. Now... let's see how this looks in the old version. Okay, it's more like a flat projection inside the well. And here it's more an actual like hologram or something. It's nice that they switch you out here immediately. Okay, extrusion test. Let's see. Okay, the sounds are fairly similar still. So let's see how that looked in the old version. Oh, that actually looks... You know, those look more realistic. And now they kind of went back to a more stylized, this is a computer projection look. Which is interesting. Just as a design choice. Oh, come on. I think my keyboard is doing something silly right now. Oh, and this one closed again. I guess they don't leave it open. It makes sense, you know, that if you don't need to, like, if doors close behind you again, that means they don't need to, you know, like when they render from a distance or something, they don't need all the different states. They can just, for the distance state, always use the closed door, as they'll know when you return from a certain distance, the door will have closed again. Wasn't this thing called device? I remember that I was very confused that a waterfall was a device. We shall see. Okay, here's a switch. You know the rule of switches in games, you always switch them. It's like the big red button that says don't push me, of course you push it. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Oh, this looks beautiful. Oh yeah, if we check this out. Here actually the old version left the door open for you. That's fascinating. So you see, like, the gear, of course, has a lot more detail. But you can also see that you come at the gear from a different angle now. And that the switch is on the other side. So that's fascinating. Aww. There's not much to see in the distance, sadly, but only the mists of Myst, I guess. Okay, let's just go over here and switch the switch. And of course, something that's probably hard to see. I'm not even sure if it moves here. Like in some versions, is this a setting? No. Okay. Maybe it was in Riven, where they actually had a setting for water animations. I don't think up here the original game actually has a water animation. Seems to be all fixed. Yeah. I think it was Riven where you had more of an animation. Oh, also, apparently Myst has been deforested a little bit. Maybe in the original they chose very specific angles that had good contrast because the viewer's angle and the light source was fixed, whereas in the VR version they can add enough detail to be more free. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's also this path connects differently. I think it's also, you know, what is more convenient to walk through in 3D. Like this path here. No, actually it's fairly similar. Okay, I misremembered. I thought it basically went directly up, but it doesn't. That's actually... It's just this one kind of comes straight and the other one takes a sharper turn and then comes back. I guess it's just, you know, it gives it a more dynamic angle when you come at it, but here it doesn't really make that much of a difference because you can come from basically arbitrary angles. Not quite arbitrary. Interesting. This spot, let's see, can we see that? We can't really. Yeah, here you can see it in the original game. Oh, I forgot to switch back, but that's you can't really see it because the new game covers it. So if you look in the lower right next to, let's go in the same spot roughly. Oh, and it's more, this area is now concrete more. And in the original, it kind of felt, at least to me, it felt more like it was, not concrete, but, some sort of granite or something like that. And you had these wooden railings, and they don't have them anymore here. It feels much more industrial up here, and before it was more these steampunky wooden railings. I actually think I liked the wood more. It just made it feel more human. And you see that this area here is rocks here, and in the original game this is actually grass, and in Real Myst you could actually walk up there. Like in the original game you can see you cannot get close here, and here it's just blocked off. But in Real Myst you were able to walk around here if you wanted. And now they've kind of forced you a little more back on the path again, game design wise. Oh, okay, now let's go here again. Again, this is one of those moments where the note in the original game is on the ground. Whereas now they've put it on a rock so you can interact with it easier in VR. He's obviously rewritten the message. Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our fort chamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on the island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. Left you a message of utmost importance in our fort chamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on the island into the imager. Yeah, it's the same. So it's an imager, not really a device. Okay. It's fascinating, though, that hasn't been blown away. Like, the one in the grass is already unlikely. Oh, and by the way, the Oculus is kind of a VR whatchamacallit, it's more a cell phone kind of for VR. This is much more I think this is Tiana or something is what it spells. There's like some tie-in books that explain whose grave this is, among other things. And I think in the original game, yeah, you turn 180 degrees here. Let's just, I know this is a bit, yeah, no, you can't really see that in the original game. And in, I think in Real Myst, you still had more trees here and you could walk somewhere from here or so into the forest and then see a grave. But I also think it looked quite different. A nice detail I saw in one of the release YouTube videos. These rail... what are they called? You know, they're like train bars, planks that you would use, and they're used here for to mark the path and as stairs to make it more convenient to walk. This is actually just a single plank. They just rotate it. You know, like so once it's rotated 180 degrees, one is the bottom up, things like that. Apparently. So if you looked closely, it would probably look about the same. Yeah, like this spot is probably... No, I can't really... Yeah, this and this is basically the same in the pattern and things like that. So if you look closely enough, you would see that that's all the same. Let's go back here. You see, like, the planks are a lot more cubistic. The rail bars are railroad tiles are railroad sleeper? No, I think railroad sleeper would be... I thought that was like a sleeper car or something. Well, I guess maybe if it's not sleeper car, but railroad sleeper, okay. Yeah, I thought they used a different word, but I can't remember it right now. It's lying in the grass because it has been blown away. Yeah, probably. But, like, you know, it seems to be staying there. Okay, let's go here and switch the switch. And let's see what happens here. Again, they've given us a button for this door. And it's a sliding door now, apparently. And so this looks... Okay. The original was more like a dentist's chair. And this is more... I guess, again, this is a concession to VR. I'm a bit sad about that. Like, this was actually a much cooler design, and they straightened it up just to make it... Ooh. They straightened it up just to make it, you know, more convenient to use in VR. I wish they'd gone back on some of these things and just said, hey, this is the parallel universe with the VR suitable designs or something. Ah, okay. Ah, okay, and this lever controls... Okay, so that's a weird way of entering values, but I guess it's easier to do with like point and click. And now let's wait, we have to first close the door, or at least, and see, it's like an overhead thing that comes down here. Ah, and here you had these sliders, right? So you just slid the slider up and down. The capture card is not quite happy. Alright, yeah. So that makes sense. I don't know yet what to do with this. Yeah, like the tilted thing kind of seems like it would make, you know, like it would just be a nicer experience. Also, this looks Oh, this looks like the top rotates or something. Huh. Okay, and here... Well, the inside of the room doesn't really look that nice either. The floor is different. Oh. They've made it more real, but they've also simplified it a lot. It's a bit sad. I had a friend who had a library in this reddish wood that the old version had, and it all just, like, it makes me nostalgic, like, of my childhood. And then having this all different here is kind of interesting. I'm supposed to record a mobile app? Yes, and it comes in at 1080p. Alright. Use spacebar to take a picture. You can access your photos through the menu. I can't tell you how annoyed I've been by other versions of Myst, later games in the series, complaining, not complaining, just using the space key for photographs, because every time, especially in the ones with the 3D engine, there were these moments where I wanted to jump and then suddenly I took a photo, like, oh, at least here, camera on, press spacebar to take a picture. Can I get out again? No. Okay, but at least... Okay, so that's different. I'm sad that you can't actually cancel. Oh, and this is interesting. Alright, let's walk in here in the original. And I actually have to say, this looks weird. Like, I prefer the bookshelf in the original. Just that it's, full width and full of books. And here it's much smaller books in a tiny box. And I guess all those burnt books you cannot interact with, really. Although they show the dot as if you could interact with them. Bookshelf looked better, yeah. It's also a lot looks... I guess, on their way to striving to make it look more real. Of course, it also looked poorer. They wanted to make it 100% clear which ones are interactive and which not. Yeah, that's possibly part of it, yeah. But, like, the old one looked kind of like a fairly rich building, and this looks more like a hut in a... like more like a blockhouse or something. I've called this age Channel Wood, and it is a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I can see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere there are only trees which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear into the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I am eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late and I must rest. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from a pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I would have never expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, they indicated through enthusiastic hand motions that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice that the waters below us were changing colors. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the water I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 meters above the water and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths of the village to the village level, approximately halfway up the grand trees. It is very interesting watching these people carry out their daily tasks, even after watching them for hours. I did not understand exactly what they were doing. At sunset, they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside, I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had from the outside. The walls were garnished with bright metals, and in the center of the hut sat the leader of these people. At least he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a meter off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature who was dressed in many exotic, colorful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human. At least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which was only on his face and head, was completely gray. Almost white, and hung very long around his frail body. His thin head hung limply by an almost grotesque neck that could not hold his head up to look at me. But what a surprise! This creature could speak my language. Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I look forward to learning more. As I suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They are treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It is almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation of what he has told me. Many years ago, the humans and tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little. The humans dwelt on the ground, and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally, the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings which happened randomly, some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop, allowing everything to return to normal. One day, things changed. The rumbling began and grew quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved into the trees, where they gradually died out, maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment, but I'm not sure. This is the story the old man communicated to me, although many details are very unclear in my mind. I'm especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own, yet the old man believes in the truth of the story as if he had been there. And the tree dwellers worship him, and apparently all humans, as if they were heroes or gods. I like it that it says as if they. Wait, is that in the old version as well? Yeah, as if he, they, so that's the same. The old man ended our conversation today with an event which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly, murmuring something about rest and sleep. He then said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. With much effort, he stood to his feet. I tried to help, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with very solemn faces. They then kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed his hand on their heads. All the while he murmured words which I did not understand. Finally he turned to me and smiled. Then he closed his eyes and walked out the door and off of the narrow path. High in the trees. The tree dwellers were silent. They began a procession down the nearest rope ladder. As I was descending, I saw several of them pick up the body he had fallen onto a lower level of walkway and carry it away. He was lain down at the end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the tree creatures lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As this strange funeral proceeded, the waters around the pier changed to dull green. This morning I awoke, finding it hard to even believe the previous evening's events. The water is a dull green for as far as I can see now. For some reason, the water no longer shifts color. As I wander throughout the pathways, the creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway to the room in which I had slept. This is a unique race of beings. I hope to learn their language soon so that I may learn more of them. Okay, colors. I have lived on this world for 3 months off and on, and the tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I am even beginning to learn bits of their language. I have decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and my sons, and hopefully return with them. However, I am sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age would be a wonderful experience for them all, and I at least look forward to how Cirrus and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. Catherine is staying behind, as expected. My sons have returned with me, and they enjoy this age very much. They get along very well with the tree dwellers and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak with the tree dwellers much better than myself. I am leaving tomorrow to check on Osmoian age. Cirrus has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to their request. I warned the boys not to take advantage of the respect the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seem to understand my warning, and I have faith they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the Kochtek. I fear for their survival and plan on returning to her shortly after checking on Cirrus and Achenar here. See Everdunes journal for more information. After watching Cirrus and Achenar, I see they are handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them on Channelwood again. And for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I am leaving, but are happy that Cirrus and Achenar are staying behind again. I have been gone for over 3 days and have been to many different places. I had to tell Cirrus and Achenar about Pran's death today, and they were visibly shaken, although they only remembered her from their childhood. Catherine has suggested that it would be wise for Cirrus and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree. They will be returning with me when I leave again. I have told my sons that they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence, and it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures and traveled some ways out into the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and am reminded of my own adventures as a child. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their many inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I see now that the inks have changed from the black I thought they were to various different colors. I have shown some of the creatures my journal, and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humor. Even now, as I look through this very colorful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. We will be returning tomorrow, so my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They have told me they would like to come to Channel Wood again, and also asked if they can visit some other ages alone. Though I will have to think over their request, I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide whether they are ready for travel alone. For now I must give my farewells to the creatures, for I do not know how long it will be until I will visit this age again. Okay, future bridge, so that looks like a map. Let's take a picture of that. And that's, I don't know, windmill? On some sort of hut, okay. That's nice. It's weird that on the one hand, the book writer has control over which world appears in the book, and then again the world is alien to him and he discovers whole new people. Yeah, I guess, like, if you see it all as kind of metaphor for programming, which, I think that was kind of the idea behind the way of writing books in Myst, where that came from, then it actually totally, makes sense that you create a system and that interacts in certain ways with certain other things, and then things logically follow from that. And so, like, basically, the whole result changes over time, You might have just created a world with the ability to sustain life, and then, written that, and then it kind of turns, you see, like, what did it actually turn out, and, like, maybe he had bugs in there, so wrote some things not quite as precisely as he meant, and then the world kind of behaves differently. Procedural generation, yeah, kind of. Emmett was the first to live on the rocks. He named them the rocks because that is what they were. A group of sharp rocks clustered together in the middle of a large sea. This was where Emmett lived. He enjoyed his life. Emmett would occasionally swim to nearby rocks, as it was never too far of a distance. One day, another person appeared on the rocks, for no apparent reason to Emmett. Emmett named this new person Branch. Emmett and Branch quickly became friends, swimming and hunting for fish together often. Emmett showed Branch the simple cave in which he lived on the largest rock. Soon Branch discovered a place where he decided to live, also on the same large rock. The sun always shone brightly in their world, and the water was always dazzlingly clear. That is... Since I remember Stone Ship. Okay, interesting. The sun always shone brightly in their world, so it's in the old version already. And the water was always dazzlingly clear, allowing them to see almost to the deep ocean floor which surrounded them. Though the sun always shone, it was never too hot for the boys. A light breeze always came from the north and cooled the area down. One day, while Branch was swimming and having fun in the water, he noticed another boy swimming. Branch brought the new boy to Emmett to find out what to call the new boy. Emmett said the boy should be called Will. Will was soon a part of the group, and all three of the boys swam and enjoyed their perfect world. At least that is the story I was told when I arrived today on the island. Emmett, Branch, and Will were surprised to see me at first, but even before the night ended, we were all becoming good friends. Today, the second day on this newly created age, a strange thing happened. It was not strange to me, but the three boys did not understand what was happening. While I was relaxing under a large tree on one of the smaller rock islands, it began to rain. It was a nice rain that lasted for about an hour in the morning. I explained to the boys that the rain was not harmful, yet they obviously still feared it. Before going to sleep tonight, I told the boys I would leave the following day. I told them that while I was gone, I would make a surprising change in their world. They didn't understand, not that I expected them to. I still do not fully understand what happened today. I was experimenting with the art, testing the limits of the rules as dictated to me by Father. I attempted to create a boat by writing it into the world. I thought everything was planned correctly, yet somehow the boat had become gripped by the rock and broken in half. Although this test did not turn out as I hoped, I now have answers to a few of the questions my father never answered. As for the boat, I can see the boys enjoy it anyway, and with that I am pleased. They have played on it all day. Even though the boat cannot move, I have enjoyed studying from it. It is a much sturdier platform than the jagged rocks. In the course of my observations, I have learned some very interesting things regarding the solar system of this age. The nights are absolutely beautiful here. I have made note of and named a number of constellations that pass above me. Also during the night, I catch glimmers of light from the horizon, which I have not been able to discover. Okay, submersible lamp. I think we take another photo. The horizon which I have not been able to discover if it is created by some natural phenomenon or by additional people on far-off islands or rocks. I should very much like to discover which. I rather suspect it is additional people, which would explain the appearance of Branch and Will. The rain today was slightly heavier than usual. Just when the boys were getting used to the light rains, a small storm arrived. They were frightened of the heavier rain, not to mention the thunder and lightning. If rain has never fallen here until recently, as the boys tell me, I would like to discover why it is falling now. Regardless, I have decided to return home for a short while. I have also been thinking of some plans for a lighthouse that I hope to construct soon. I think that perhaps by shining a bright light towards the horizon, it might prove my suspicions regarding additional inhabitants. They would be curious about the light and travel to discover its source, if they have the means. I returned with many tools that I will need for construction of the lighthouse. I have decided that once the lighthouse is completed, I will leave for some time and let the world's own imagination have control. We have worked 3 weeks on the lighthouse now and are making great progress. The rock that we are building on seems to not be as secure as I would like. I have had to alter my plans slightly, but those alterations pose no real problem. The boys are quite strong and have been helping me immensely. I estimate the construction will be done within 2 days. Okay, interesting that the drawings, they also redid the drawings with more detail, of course. The lighthouse is finished, and we are all proud of our creation. The boys are amazed at the structure wrought from rock with their own hands. That evening we powered up the generator, much to the boys' dread at first, and shined a great light to the horizon for many hours. I stayed the night in the top of the lighthouse, and in the morning awoke to observe the sunrise without my being coated with the chilly blanket of ocean dew I had become accustomed to. It was Will who first saw the girl. She was swimming not far from the boat where Will was getting ready to hunt for fish. Then Will noticed a man not far away from the girl. Emmett was very pleased to meet the additional neighbors. I feel pleased to leave this age. I have set in motion events that have nothing to do with writing or the art, that will have a more profound impact on this world than I could have ever written. Okay, they rotated the whole drawing a bit. Yeah, interesting. I think that might be useful to have as well. I think of it this age as a gift to myself. Okay, so they took the typo along as well. As a gift to myself that I will wrap up and open someday in the future, only to discover that it has been changed so much that indeed it is a surprise. Besides, I have yet another new age that awaits me. It seems I'm going to need some way to travel underwater in this new age, and so much planning is in order. It has been 10 years since I left this age, which I have since called the Stone Ship Age. Upon returning, I cannot believe the changes that have taken place. The original 3 boys have grown into adults, and there are many new faces that I do not recognize. Branch told me that it has not rained for 7 years and the cool breezes are back again. They are all very content and have been serving me with new foods and showing me new materials they have discovered. It even seems they have found gold somewhere. I see it in many forms around the island. My lighthouse has been kept in perfect condition, and it looks as if they have tried their very best to keep it so. Yet I have noted that the entire rock it was built on has sunk approximately 40 or 50 centimeters. After a wonderful visit with my old friends, I wonder aloud with them what things will be like in another 10 years. Okay, Constellations. Alright, that's it, and those are basically the same. You can tell it's redrawn, but it's basically the same style. Like you see like the actual corners, how they meet and things are different, but someone paid attention to making it as much as the original as possible. Alright, 2 more books apparently. Isn't this one? Yeah. It has been a while since I have heard only silence, and I enjoy it greatly, I think. For some reason I do not feel altogether welcome in this new world in which I have arrived. But how could I be unwelcome in an age with no inhabitants? It is of course only in my head. This world is very beautiful, but I think I have yet to ever write in a journal that an age I have linked to is horrid or disgusting. From the grassy hill where I am standing, I can see green fields below, along with a few scattered forests. A rather large lake looms some distance from where I am standing, yet the water's blue can be seen plainly from here. The air is fresh and the sky is sparkled with white clouds. It is absolutely breathtaking, and yet that strange feeling again. Perhaps it is the hot breeze that continues to blow from the north. Hotter than I would have imagined, it almost singes my skin, and I feel quite uncomfortable when it comes. I will try to ignore it. Night has almost arrived, and the sunset is spectacular. Oranges and reds have settled above the western horizon. Though night has come, the horizon still glows red long past the sunset. Dark reds flow from the horizon and blend into the black sky. Again the feeling, and I am beginning to believe it is not all in my mind. I must sleep now. I will need my strength to explore more tomorrow. I have had to return home due to a unpredictable natural occurrence more frightening than I have ever experienced. I was awakened by terrible shakings in the ground and explosions on all sides of me. Gigantic balls of fire were falling from the sky, and I immediately left in fear of my life. I must remember to bring a Myst linking book with me when I return, in case the one left there has been destroyed or damaged. I have returned to a different world than the one I left only 3 months ago. It has been transformed into a barren desert land with only gigantic craters scattered across the land to provide variety. Strangely enough, the small grassy hill where I spent my first night remains exactly the way I found it. Apparently the falling meteors did not hit this area, leaving an oasis in the midst of this horrible desolation. The hot wind, I remember, has turned into a rather pleasant breeze, which is at least one improvement. I fear it is the only improvement. The magnificent lake I saw on my first visit is now completely dried up. However, another lake now exists and appears to be quite a bit larger. I assume one of the falling meteors created this lake due to its circular shape and the jutting rock that grows out of the center of the lake. The rest of this world seems like desert, although I will verify that statement with closer inspection. There's a bit of a graphical glitch in this page change. It's a pity. Though this world has little visual excitement to offer, it offers much to the ears. Sounds constantly flow through my ears, and I have found where few of them originate. It seems, as Catherine says, I do find beauty in everything. Last night I was awakened by a horrible hissing. I was sweating, and the heat was so intense that I immediately dipped my head in a nearby stream to cool it down. The hot breezes had returned, along with a low roar from the ground. I walked a short distance to observe some red flames shooting up from the earth. Suddenly the ground began to crack, and a huge chasm opened. The chasm continued to grow until it was far too wide to cross. Then the tumult subsided, leaving only a dull roar. I have decided, however, I can use the chasm to my advantage. Perhaps the heat from the chasm can be harnessed. Collect heat, radiant chasm. Even as the chasm has ripped into the surface of this world, it has opened up a whole new world to explore. Although uncomfortably hot, I found it possible to reach a cave in the chasm that had been created, and have now explored deep into the crust of this planet. I have found a vast underground cave system that will take many years to map and explore. I will also look for a safer way to reach the underground than through the chasm wall. This age seems to change on its own, so I feel I should leave again and see if things are different when I return. It is also important that I check on Cirrus and Akanar and make sure everything is going along well. When I return, I also hope to bring back some tools I will need for my plans to explore the underground. The abundance of raw materials here is beginning to amaze me. I have returned with some of the complex tools I knew I would be needing. I assumed I would have to return for more basic materials. However, it seems as though I will be able to find everything I need here. Of course, iron is abundant, but I have also found titanium occurring naturally. I am all the more excited to begin work. Everything is set, and I look forward to tomorrow. My raw materials are all here. I think I will be able to have most of my additions to this age completed within 1 year. I so love working with my hands, whether writing or building. I began today on the bridge. Okay. Support for the buttons. Amazingly strong. Viewing dome, hatch, stabilizer, intake. Whoops. Hello? How do I get out? Well, I guess I'll just take a useless photo. Ah, that was what I was missing. Okay. Could never imagine it to come together quite as could possibly work with. Completely fatigued. I'm leaving today in order to bring back Cirrus and Akanar. I have left them alone in Channelwood. I believe they will enjoy all there is to see here. The age seems to have stabilized. I believe the meteors set off a period of volcanic activity by piercing into the hollow crust, but the tremors have become few. I've just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the very pages on which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I've copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of this world, but I trust I will discover logical answers to my questions. I have a feeling that many of my questions can be answered in another age, to which I hope to travel soon. But for now, I must simply accept this world's mysteries and take pride in my accomplishments. Alright, and here is a melody, I guess. Alright, and here is a map of the place, apparently. Okay, and that seems to be it. Fascinating. Mechanical. Where? Oh, here. Okay, so the books are in different positions, at least in the old version. That will make it not quite easier. Before arriving in this age, I was determined that it would be a journey to a world very different from my previous adventures, and it was. The sky here is dark and grey and incessantly displays flashes of lightning in the distance. I met a very old man with a long beard and hair that hangs to his waist. He is very feeble and has trouble even moving. This man has obviously been through very many things in this strange world, and I have learned many things from him. He has told me an interesting story of this world's history. Years ago, he told me, there was a beautiful city that rose up out of the water. It housed many people inside its walls, and the people had everything they wished for. The city was surrounded by 3 high hills, which rose higher than the city. On the east hill of the city rested a large lookout post. The people of the city had constructed the post expecting visitors to arrive from the east. The people had no means of traveling on the water, which forced them to merely wait for friend or foe. As time passed, friendly visitors brought rumors of an enemy that existed beyond the horizon. The people grew fearful, yet nothing happened. One day the usually sunny sky became as dark as night, and black ships appeared on the horizon. The lookout post's attempts at peace were turned away, and the sentries there were easily overwhelmed. The ships continued to wreak havoc on the city, apparently destroying everyone and everything. After the foundations of the city were destroyed, the city sunk deep into the ocean, and only the lookout post remained. The black ships sailed away. The man continued to say that 8 people had hidden and managed to survive through the attack. In the 9 years since the attack, 2 of the survivors had died. He also said that it was rumored that 10 years from the attack the enemy would return to finish the destruction they had started so long ago. I have decided, since hearing the man's story, it would be admirable to save this civilization and stop this enemy's plan of destruction. I'm excited about the adventure that awaits me, and an idea has sparked in my mind to provide the needed defense for these people. I met the remaining survivors today, and I have begun work on a plan for protection. After a short absence, I have returned to this age with my 2 sons. They have, as of yet, traveled rarely with me, and they are understandably excited to be here. They have grown considerably since Everdunes, and it is already obvious to me that they will be a great help this time, instead of the nuisance they have been in the past. All 3 of us, along with 4 of the healthier survivors, began construction today. We are building upon the old city's ruins, which will provide a perfect foundation for our fortress. My sons have been spending much of their spare time on the South Island, where most of my materials are stored. I'm very pleased with their intelligence, and their creativity is refreshing to see, as they work on some small projects of their own. It has been over 4 months now, and construction is going well. My sons love the world, except for its gray sky. They detest the gray sky, and tell me many times they wish the sky here were like the blue sky in Myst. The old man I first talked to tells me that the enemy is due in 4 months. I feel we will be ready when the time comes. The man reminds me of Emmett in many ways, and I often wonder how Emmett and his people are doing. It has been 6 months of work, and we have finally finished the fortress. It rests between the 3 hills, which are now only islands due to a rising water level that the people experienced after the attack. Inside the fortress, I have designed a most intriguing device. It makes use of a technology called holography I began experimenting with on my visits to Espermere. It will be working in a couple of days after I compensate for some small miscalculations. This holographic device will enable the survivors to learn to use the fortress. Power track slope. Whoops. No. The enemy is due to come soon, and I trust the fortress will provide sufficient protection for all of us. Okay. That looks interesting. The black ships have come. Their attack was substantial. Their weapons have been stopped, and it appears they have turned away in defeat. I could not help but smile as I watched the boats leave. Last night we had a small celebration, and the old survivors danced their dances of old. My sons did not understand why the sky had not turned back to its original blue. The old man told them that the storms would never end until the enemy was destroyed. I assured my sons that a blue sky was not worth the risk of death, and they seemed to hear me. I've had a healthy adventure and have begun to work on a new book. Once again, I must leave a familiar age in search of a new universe I have begun. But first I will have an extended time with Catherine, whom I miss very much. I must also return to the people of the tide. I believe in my travels I have found a substance that will ease the pain of their bone ailments that they have long endured. I hope to return to mechanical age one day and find the population growing and my fortress still strong. Though the sky may always be black, I am confident the people here feel a heavier darkness has been lifted from their shoulders. Ah, okay, that's the book I accidentally opened here, I think. Huh, okay. That looks like something in the room. Okay. Don't know how many these are. Seems to be a lot. Oh, okay. Seems to be... How many are these? I hope it ends at 50. Okay, I'm not sure I actually need the photos. This looks like the kind of thing where, whoops, you're given a number at some point and then photo album is full. Okay, yeah. Don't think they expected me to take that many pictures. Photo album. 50 of 50, yeah. Oh, that might take a while. They really need multiple selection in here. Alright, let's see, I guess we can delete more. Should we need it? Okay. While we're here, let's save. This empty save slot here, that's kind of... I wish they would have added like a mouse highlight. Okay, they have this highlight, but it doesn't... These highlights should be on mouse over. For here as well. That's a bit of a UI snafu. Alright, yeah, here. That's what we saw when we got in. That's also interesting because this looks much more normal. Just like a fireplace. And like it looks like, you know, like pretty brick, like the kind of brick on the outside. It's probably generating these solution templates procedurally as well. Maybe. Hi Andy. Oh, my birthday is was last week. So yeah, but thank you. Thank you. We're just playing Myst today. Simultaneously in the old and the new version. But it's interesting. It looks... I mean, this library mostly looks okay. Like, you know, as like old and new. You know, it looks a little worn. And it's just stained wood and not really... you know, like, not... what's it called? No lacquer on it, basically. I guess I missed your birthday. Out! Get out! Wait. I have the correct reply for this joke. And I forgot to start the bot again. Okay, so I don't have the correct reply. Badum is what I meant to say. No, stay please, it's fine. Alright, so we want to figure out what this does. Okay, that opens it, and you can actually... Ah, okay, that's also like a VR thing. That you can get in here standing. But it looks like it was so much more subtle at first. Because like in the old version, let me just switch over there again. Oh, and now the capture device, of course, is doing its weird colors and artifacts thing. Okay, well, I don't think I have a way to fix that right now. I guess I'll have to get that thing replaced. So yeah, it just, like, you can just go in here. but it felt much more subtle. Okay, and this has a big... Like, all these buttons and devices feel a lot more... 60s, if that makes sense. Oh, and that's the thing where we found the pattern books for, right. Can we... yeah. Oh, this looks fancy. Okay, yeah, this looks a lot fancier. If you can hardly see the button. Alright. That was a lot weirder and more magical. The colors are off right now. It wasn't that green, it's just gray, basically. But this is a bit weird. I wonder if it helps if I unplug and replug the HDMI. If that makes any difference. No, it's still yellowish. Dang it. Capture device. Well, anyway, we'll just leave that on and go back here. So we don't really know which of these patterns we want to use yet. Okay. Now I can get out of here, but this is interesting. Yeah, this seems like a lot weirder. Some of these updates, I mean, I can tell that a lot of them were done for VR. Okay, what's this? Oh. This looks like a map of the island. Let's see how that looks in the game. Oh, yeah, that does that as well. There are, I think, some graphical glitches in the mobile port here, because there are gaps. Like if you look in the lower left on this line here, there is like a line going through, and I think that's just a gap between the movies. All right. Okay, and that... Ah, okay, and here, this is different because you can... Oh, and it even... Like, you can turn it and it even snaps to certain positions. That's nice. Okay. Okay, that sounds a lot different. Okay. This is some sort of door. And this is a different door. This looks kind of like this one. Can we... Okay. Did we now ring someone's doorbell? What do you do? Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But do you see, like, the bookshelves here? If we go here to the painting... Like, the painting here has the wider bookshelves. So I don't know why they made those narrower. It feels really wrong somehow. I don't know if they kind of thought about where would the mechanism be or something and just needed more space. I don't know. Oh, this is pretty. Okay. So this path here, I think it's just better lit. Ah, do you see this? The reflections on the wood, like the... Yeah, so this is mostly just everything brighter. Oh, yeah, generally it's finer and brighter. Like that's, I think when I reverse engineered Myst, I told you that this door with only the small, so the door in the lower right, I mean in the old game, with the small slits through which you can see, is a performance optimization because, you know, loading a movie from CD and playing it, they only had, like, what was it, 160p or something like that, a very small resolution, maybe 320. I don't know what the maximum size was. Yeah, 160 seems about right. 320 is, I think, too large. And, of course, here they don't need it anymore, so they just made it a gate, which folds in and out in an interesting way. Come on. Did I break it? So they kind of slide into each other, one behind the other. Interesting. The paint job is a bit not so good. Yeah, like here it's just metal. That actually kind of makes sense. Oh, and I liked those diamond-like buttons a lot more. Okay. That I'm missing. In the old one, if you push the button, it goes bzzz. Here, if you push the button while the gate isn't closed, nothing happens. That's actually... You know, that would make me think, if I didn't know it already, would make me think that maybe, you know, I need to power it somehow. And another thing that's interesting is this one goes straight up. The other one went up and then turned. Which again, I mean, this is the pragmatic approach. I guess how you would really build it, but it kind of added some whimsy to the machines that is now missing. And now you see this book symbol, that's where the door originally pointed. So we're about 30 degrees off. And back here is that key. So now we see the sunk ship. Oh, that looks nice. It's interesting though. I think this is fuzzy. This feels like it's a pre-rendered image. And since I'm playing at 4K, it actually looks, you know, fuzzy to me. So that's probably just a skybox showing whatever you're looking at. And... oh, wait, I probably didn't... Let me just go back in the old game, because I don't think I did the tower rotation, did I? So let's drive back down again. I can give you the audio. And let's walk through there. I'll have to find another way if I have... I'll have to find if I can find the PC version or something that I can run without a capture card. Of the old one for next time. Yeah, I haven't actually turned it... Oh, I forgot. Ah, I think that's a mechanical change. Okay, that wasn't... I mean, it's kind of... You can also see that in the lower right it says tower rotation. They realized that nobody would understand what this did. So they had to put the text here. Okay, so here's the ship. And this doesn't even have a ladder anymore. January 13, okay. So let's go down here again. Right. And look at the other one, I guess. So here's the thing, yeah, since I've played this game before, of course, like you see here, there's a difference because this spot is on the map and isn't here. And that either means I forgot to toggle the switch, or more likely because the ship is still underwater. The dial looks much clearer. Yeah, definitely. So they split the movie up into each slit. Clever. Yeah, I guess. I don't know, actually. Yeah, I think these are... No, I think these are actually just pictures at the bottom. And or did you mean the elevator? No, the elevator is just the 4 slits, that small window, is one movie. Whereas... in this game, of course, you can see stuff moving through the entire door. Those old sounds can be grating. Yeah, they're a little strong, especially this tower rotation thing. But so, now we can just... And this is a lot more pleasant to turn. Because, you know, you just turn it, and you see immediately what goes, and you can turn it forward and back and things like that. Whereas in the original Myst, you could just push on this button, and it would slowly turn 360 degrees. So if you missed one, then you had to wait for it to turn all the way around and make that noise. And I don't know if you can hear this, but this one basically... It has like this crack, crack, crack sound, like a mechanical switch. It's kind of nice. Alright, let's go back up and see what the other tower rotation does now and how that feels. And I guess in this one, in the old one, we should go up as well. So now here we should see the gear. Yeah, you can see the gear from above. And here the annoying part was that both sides had a ladder in the original. So when you went here, you kind of, you had to climb on both sides. Yeah, so it's turned differently now, which is... I mean, it's kind of interesting that they just the outside of the tower basically turns. That totally makes, that it does make sense. Yeah, here you can see the gear. Looks a little different. You also see more of the gear through this window, which is kind of nice. Come on. What's going on here? Okay, if I click at the top of the ladder, it works. But now here they did now you see this 240 and 221. That was the hard-coded solution in the original game. And now here we get the randomized solution. So if you play this game, you will have a different number here. Imagine you are a developer in 1992 optimizing the heck out of your code, and then they just turn your work into a mobile game 30 years later. Yeah, I was, like when I first saw that, I don't know what it was. It the LucasArts games, or was it something else? Like the first of these old games that I saw remade. Maybe it was even Myst. And seeing that on my phone and going like, this little tiny slab of glass that I have in my pocket has the power of my first computer. No, not even my first. Was it the third that Myst came with? Because the first two didn't have CD drives, so yeah. They probably wouldn't have been fast enough to run it. Alright, so we have this. And we went around the 3 sides. Alright, so now let's turn. Got lost again. That's the bit of the problem with this old slideshow approach, is that you sometimes get lost where you are now. You're already down or whatever. It's also, I like the reduced music in this quite a lot. Alright, so I guess we've played with the painting. Oh yeah, we have the books still left. Okay. Now comes the story. And this will be, I tried this out because I first thought I'd record some characteristic sounds. But this bit will be interesting in how different it is.
You must help me.
And I have to say, this is, I think, the part of this remaster that will age the worst. These facial animations, these character designs. He looks very cartoony and very weird. And for comparison, I'm sorry because the capture device is doing weird stuff, so the colors won't look right. But let's just turn this on and show you how this looks. First, what I forgot. If you open this without putting in the page, what you get is something like this. So just these swirlies, or in the older version, these static effects. So now you have to manually drag the page to the book.
Live. Bring me a red pig. I can't see. You red, you must. Bring. I beg her, bring. Shh. I am serious. Give it up. There is one thing I must rescue.
Marathon on the iPhone had that effect on you. Yeah, maybe it was Marathon. I just remember like one of the old games I saw. Let's switch back. Those colors are horrific. Bring me red. No, yellow. No, pink page. Yeah, sorry about the capture device. Yeah. The real life actors were more convincing. Yeah, and also, like, I don't know, these facial animations kind of look like Chucky from Child's Play, you know, the murder doll. Kind of like with their weird foreheads and things like that. I don't know, there's something really odd going on. And yeah, I would think the same, like why are they like this? And you've had that in later Myst games, like in the ones that went fully 3D. What was it? The End of Ages, I think, is what it was called, which was 4 or 5 with the Barrow, with those aliens, and where you had to like paint onto whiteboards and things like that to like draw symbols, and those were kind of the characters in there looked really weird and stiff, and I kind of wished that they had kept the characters here. Oh, he keeps talking. And oh, also nice detail that the books are clamped in. In the original, they're just lying there. Okay, let's look at the other book, and I'll mute the other one, and just so we have it. Wait, I'll start this one as well.
Seal? You must fucking help me. Bring me pages. Forever and ever. Pages.
So yeah, it's also interesting that they have these paintings on the books, like these two swords and this orb. But alright, so what we know now, for those of you who've never played that game, and apologies, I realize I'm really playing this game quite badly for like someone who just wants to watch and find out why would you want to play this game. Yeah. What we're doing in this game is, sorry, I lost my train of thought here because I thought I'd unlock the door while I'm at it. Yeah, so what we know now is that these two gentlemen are apparently, I don't know, stuck in these books or whatever. I don't know. And we're supposed to bring them colorful pages. And we also know from our photo album 145,321. And what is the other one here? These are 3 dates. Right, and that was the ship stuff. That we couldn't see it. Oh. Probably because we didn't toggle. Oh no, wait, that's something else then. Okay, but let's go back on the old game for a second. Admire all these trees and see if we forgot to switch a switch down there. Yeah, we actually forgot to toggle the switch. That's why it didn't work. Okay, so it's nothing puzzle related that the game changed. And I also have to figure out how to take a screenshot. Okay, so let me just run through this in the old game so that we can be at the same point again. Maybe I'll give you the audio. Oh, wait, we need to rotate the tower first. And I guess we can do both. Okay. Okay. Let's walk there and see what the solution for that is. And I should probably take a screenshot of that. I realized it's the phone version doesn't have a screenshot feature built in to the game, but of course you can just do the operating system screenshots. So now if we look here, we see the sunken ship as well, like before. You can see like these shots out the window were really a bit hard to make out as well. And we have to walk the silly ladder. And now let's see, I think... yeah, that was the screenshot. Good. Then let's go back down and around. Round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Then we'll go down the stairs again. And... huh. Okay, did I thought I'd switched that on out there. Well, anyway, let's rotate again. Hello, I didn't let go. The interesting thing about this is that, of course, this line can just be drawn with a drawing command on the computer. So they didn't need to do movies or anything for that red line. Alright, let's just go back up there again. We've looked at the gear before and what solution it offers for us. But, alright, we didn't turn on the switch here yet. Now I remember, we only turned it on in the new game. And maybe I should switch back to the old game for you as well. So you can see that for a moment. We don't have to look at that again. Go up to the key. Alright. I mean, this isn't randomized. I can Google that if I need to. But it's nicer to have the solutions somewhere here, just to be safe. Also, no limit on number of screenshots. So, while this is rotating, let's go back to the new game. And, switch this and rotate you. Okay, it doesn't snap. Okay, interesting. So I guess there's something else we need to do. I think we did the gear last, didn't we? So, let's see what this one is set to. Just so they're all matching and we don't... yeah, okay, we did the gear last. Good. So I guess the gear is what we will be doing. And this button. And here as well. I like that they kept the swirl. Though if you look at this here, it's actually interesting. So it looks like a painting. And now if you push that button, you see that the structure of the painting stays. So it's more like, oh, it's a projection onto a painting or something, which makes it interesting. Oops, I wanted to jump. Of course that means I took a photo again. Okay, so what does this do? Ah, okay. Let's go out here. You see that these actually look quite different in the old game and the new game. So in the old game, they're kind of these, what are they called? The numbers, Nixie tubes, and kind of these weirdly shaped light bulbs. It's really cool. But in the old one, it's just plates that change color. So I don't know how to solve this one yet. And there's a cute little ship in here, which actually exists here as well. So yeah, let's go over and toggle that switch as well in the old game, so we're in the same state. And now let's just walk on. Here's the next switch. Alright. Switch. So should we... So here's the thing. There's a clock tower. And we got a time. So I'm going to go to the clock tower first. Let's pretend I've never played this game. Although I will quickly go here and switch that as well. Alright, so now we've switched them all. And now let's walk down and look at this clock tower. It looks fairly similar. Although, you know, not quite the same. Like again, it's the older stuff is all marble and the newer stuff is all kind of cheaper materials, brick and stuff. Which, you know, on one hand I find it an interesting change. On the other hand, it does kind of change the whole quality of all this stuff here. I mean, this stuff like this is expensive to build, and kind of having the idea that someone like this Atreus, whose letter we found and whose children are apparently trapped in these books and we need to set free, it seems, that someone like that would have all these building materials. It's a whole other magnitude if he has marble and stuff. Or maybe he just wrote this stuff into existence, because, like, it seems that's what these books, like, what the background to it did. So let's look in the photo album. And here, 145. So I guess okay. Okay, it's not direct. Yeah, it's like this. If you remember, I did this puzzle when I reversed the game, the original one, and there the spinning wheels were too fast, and it always skipped 10 minutes instead of 5, and I could never get to 45. I had to change the code. Okay, 1 seems to be okay, and now we push this button. Okay. Did I mix the hands up or something? Let's try... Okay, let's try the other one. So that was a bit annoying that you couldn't see the clock change. You could only see the wheel turn, which made it a lot more work. Okay, 2 more, I think. Yeah, 45. And now 1. Oh, no, it's not 145 in this one, is it? What was it? Let me see. I think I'll just call up the solution for the... because I don't want to go through my photo album right now. That's what I remembered. Okay. So, okay, Myst walkthrough. That looks promising. $240 is in the old game. That's 2. And so... $240. That looks about right. Okay, here it works. So now we need to figure out... Hello? Game? Oh. Photo album. $145, right? Yeah. This is $145, isn't it? Huh. Okay. I'm a little bit confused. What, 1245? What do you mean it's here? Now it works. Okay, I don't know what it was. Now I've done it back to the original. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm a little bit sad that this is such a straight bridge now. The slight twist looked nicer. It's in general, they seem to have straightened a lot of stuff, I guess, for VR. And by the way, yes, there is an invisible wall here. I can't fall in the water. Important. Switch. But yeah, I think it looked so much nicer when it wasn't an issue. Like the machines and everything looked more whimsical before. I kind of miss that. You know, it's like an artist's sensibility. Like, you look at this bridge-like thing, and it just looks much fancier in the old version because it has this little twist in it and doesn't go straight. And I guess it's more realistic that if someone built a bridge, even if it was out of gears, you know, that it, you know, they'd probably build it straight. I don't know, make it harder to fall off or something. And I guess it's probably in VR, maybe it's more annoying if there's a twist in it. You know, otherwise you probably just click once here and go up there, and then click once here and go up here. I don't know. Alright. And this is the puzzle where, when I played Myst the first time, I misunderstood how one of these things worked. So let's see, what is the number here? Because we had a second number and there are 3 numbers here, so obviously 3, 2, 1. So what does this one do? Oh, I think I would have already had it. Yeah. So that was the thing I didn't notice the first time I played, that you don't just pull the lever, but you can leave it pulled. How do I reset it again? Oh, this lever, okay. Okay, now it's pulled it up, but it also reset the number. And so, yeah, when we did that, that was annoying. Still VR people straightening all the things. Yeah. Rotating makes many VR players dizzy, so most people teleport, jump in straight lines instead of actually walking in VR. Luckily I can stand the walking. Yeah, I mean, but even, you know, if you jumped, you probably would need 2 points. So jumping to the middle and then jumping forward, you know, kind of sounds like you should be able to do that even if it had a little bend. But I guess it's like you get turned by, you know, 30 degrees or something. Maybe that was the issue. But it's just, it just looks so much nicer, the image, you know. So I wish if I'm not playing in VR, I could just do it. Okay, so let's see. I think we can just pull this and let go. Yes. What just happened? Ah. Okay, a little gear opened. But apparently I don't do anything with it here. Okay. So let's try the same thing here. Although here it's 2, 2, 1, I think. Alright. And you see here that second switch is up on the wall instead of down over on the right. But basically it's the same thing, and the levers are kind of not as directly attached. So we first... Whoops, that didn't work. Ooh, I held too long, damn it. Oh. Okay, let's try that again. Nope. This number is way more difficult than the 1, 2, 3 or whatever we got before. Okay. No, let's try that again. I think let's do only 1. Yes. Again, I held it too long. much more difficult in the old one with then. Okay, again. This one once. That's not it. Okay. This is the point where you really have to think. Clock puzzle was hard, yeah. And at least I know now that I can pull that down, you know. Let's just make sure that I'm trying to enter the right number. Yeah, 221. Alright, so let's see. So let's see, 221. If I need to move... So let's go backwards from 221. That means... So when I pull one lever first, it moves both. And then it only moves the middle one. Oh, I think I almost had it. Okay, let's see. This one first. Ah, no, again too long. But that's basically the idea. So, this one once. Then this one. Yes! Whew. And again, the same thing happened. I get a little gear that turns. And now, of course, we remember we had a gear, and that was the one where we got this time from, when we set it to the gear. So, of course, we will be running over there and checking out the gear. And yes, it looks different. It has moved. And we found a book. Ah, okay, that was hidden inside this fake gear. And of course we have the same here. I like that they actually went, and I think Riven already did that. Like paint what age a book is onto it. Whereas as you see in the original Myst, this looked just like the original Myst book. So let's have a look at that. In that flight. Somehow the flight doesn't seem to work in the mobile version right now. So we've seen this. This is the fortress from the one book where they went against the pirates. Let me see. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know. The mobile version doesn't seem to play this fly-through. But I guess this is the point where we will take a short break, because we're already half an hour over our usual break. And, you know, get up, stretch, drink something, take a bio break, whatever you need. And then we'll be back and continue playing Myst in 2 timelines at the same time. Alright, and I wanted to use this screen.